A lot has been done by monetary policy during the crisis, and if the recovery is not strong enough, certainly we will have to go back, at least it will be our advice, to go back to an easiest monetary policy with extraordinary measures that has been taken in the past. It's not the time now. We still believe that the recovery is going on. We don't believe in the IMF that there is a risk of a double dip. There's always a risk, but this risk is a small risk. It's not our baseline, so we have to take care to avoid this possible double dip, but that's not what we believe will happen. If the situation happens to be worse than expected, then new measures in terms of monetary policy will certainly be useful, but it's not the case today.
Do you expect sluggish recovery over the next couple of years, and what exactly that does?
Depends where. In most Asian countries, the recovery is strong, and I don't see any risk of a growth which will not be as high as 6, 7, 8%, depending upon the countries. I could say almost the same thing for Latin America, or at least South America. South American countries, not only Brazil, but smaller countries like Chile, like Peru, like Colombia, have growth rate around 7% these days, which is very high. Same thing in some African countries, where the recovery comes earlier than expected, and that's very good news. In the US, as everybody knows, it's more uncertain, and it's a very important part, of course, of the global economy. The part of the world where the risk of a sluggish recovery is the strongest is certainly Europe. Even if the last figures are rather encouraging, and we have to wait for 1 or 2 more quarters to know if what has happened, which was good news in the second quarter this year, was just, a good news but temporary, or the beginning of a new cycle. So it's also uncertain that in this part of the world you still have a risk of a sluggish recovery, and that's exactly where the problem of rising unemployment has to be is a concern. But I said many times that it's country specific. Look, Germany, even in the crisis, unemployment has decreased. So there's no two countries having in the same situation, and you cannot give a general advice. It was possible at the beginning of the crisis to say that the right policy was a more relaxed monetary policy and to put in place the stimulus, because all the countries were facing the same problem at the same time. And what is really amazing is that has been possible to put in place this policy, and certainly it avoided a crisis as big as the Great Depression.